Hello everybody, my name is Swit Marie and I write my poems on my blog called the Muruku Murmurations. Thank you to Unrestricted Stage for hosting us today and for CENDANA for making this video possible. I will be sharing some of my poetry and I have something special lined up for all of you. With me in this video, I have Uy doing a live sketch, and all the beats and tunes that you will be listening to as I read my poems are fully composed by Netuno. So Uy is a good friend of mine from the poetry community and she does a lot of illustration work. So honored to have her sketch some stuff based on the beats and inspired by my poems. Netuno is a good friend of mine that I've met through the music industry. So he runs an indie music label called The Abstract Nature, and if you'd like to check out more of his stuff, you can go over to The Abstract Nature on Instagram. Today for my set, I will be sharing a few of my poems, and I'm starting off the first one with Reminiscing Memories. This poem was initially written in Malay and then I translated it into English. While wanting to practice my Russian, I took up the challenge to translate it into Russian, and I've met a few good friends from the dance community, specifically Sylvain, Adelaide, and Eve, who helped me out with the French translation, learning French, and also the pronunciation. Alright, let's get going. Reminiscing Memories. I miss you thousands of times, listening to your soothing voice whispering in my ears from afar, reminiscing by the seaside, longing for you. Melihat mukamu berkelip di antara bintang-bintang di langit malam sunyi. Hatimu berdebar seperti gelombang laut membasah pasir pantai. Sladkie mimalietnie воспоминания. Твое лицо нарисовано моей ладони питает медленно в мою улыбку. La lampe de mon inspiration gardée dans les plis de ma robe avec nos secrets du passé. Tu me manques des milliers de fois. J'écoute ton apaisante voix murmurer des si loin accrus de mon arrêt. Réminiscent à bord de la mer, languissante pour toi. I gaze at your face flickering amongst the stars in the quiet night. My heart beats to the rhythm of the waves that wash the shore. Kenangan manis melintas, wajahmu terlukis atas tapak tanganmu, disuap perlahan-lahan kesenyumanku. Моя лампа вдохновения хранились в сладках моего платья с нашими секретами из прошлого. Я скучаю по тебе в тысячи раз, слушая твой мелодичный голос шептает в моем ухе издалека. Напоминание на берегу моря, тоска по тебе. Je regarde sur ton visage vacillant parmi les étoiles d'une nuit tranquille. Mon corps bounce au rythme des vagues qui correspondent la rive. These sweet fleeting memories, your face sketched on my palm, feeding slowly into my smile. Pelita ilhamku disimpan dalam lipatan kain pedikat bersama rahsia dari masa lalu. Dengan seribu rindu, mendengar suara merdumu berbisik dekat telingaku dari jauh. Mengenang kembali di tepi pantai, saya rindu akan anda. Я смотрел твое лицо мерцает среди звезды в тихую ночь. Мое сердце бьется, как волны, которые моют берег. Du souvenir fugace, ton visage équissé sous ma paume, qui nourrit lentement dans mon sourire. My lamp of inspiration is kept in the folds of my dress with the secrets from the past. This piece was actually inspired by a good friend of mine, Sylvain. He had this way of talking about nature, taking photographs about people, and this reminded me of the stories that he told on his journey as he traveled. My next piece is called Window to Our Soul. Sheer curtains and fairy lights bring us to a world of ideals, bliss, but never ignorance. A sunrise of delight seeps its rays through each orifice and drifts its way onto the grains of our faces. The furls of whirlwinds dance with the melodic chimes of bamboo pieces oscillating between each other. Your serene presence leaves a taste so pleasant. One wonders how this can exist and how long one can last. The dimensions of space within the lines that matter, and the confines of waves cycling rhythms of trust. How one can find rest in an atmosphere built with bricks of strength and cemented by faith. So this piece was inspired by a prompt that Makhluk Seni had put out for the month of February, where we had prompts that tied in the strength and power of love with our everyday lives. The second piece was also inspired by another prompt by Makhluk Seni. This piece is called Remember. Remember, a fleet of stalks glaze the night sky so smoothly. Remember that state of flight. Caramel sparrows murmuring in the clouds. Remember that phase of life. Majestic albatross flying like it owns the sky. Remember that journey of destination. Brims of rainbow salmon challenging the currents. Remember that power of determination. Fences of upstanding meerkats anticipating. Remember that energy of readiness. Tumbling awkward ferrets, swiveling their trucks of cheekiness. Remember that essence of innocence. Hibernating polar bears trusting in the seasons. Remember that necessity of loving yourself. So that piece was to remind us all to be kind to ourselves and remember the things that matter most to us in times of tribulation and trouble. The next piece is called Spatial Song, and this piece was inspired by some of the conversations that I had with Netuno. Spatial Song. Welcome to this space where the Sunday market does not close. You have room to sit for a pit stop, cross-legged, one leg up, or all stretched out. As long as your hips are settled in its anchor. Tethered by wires of charging phones and power banks, paper bags, popper ranks, piper racks, pink strawberries, picked in the month of May, made into jelly, jam, and juniper spray with sweet, tart cherry on top. Mandarins that swim in milk chocolate make for good conversations and company. Maroon stripes that wrap our hugs, draw lines from our hearts to our souls. Melody musing mosh pits and mayhem, mind-blowing moments, where the pulse rests in my palm, pausing. Plus reverbs and hi-hats playing, open mics flat off the bat, proving basics and foundations built variations of skyscrapers. Music is a big part of who you are. Your rhythm is synth waves and beats with your breath. Sharing your passion for it blooms roses and daffodils in my soul, like a fresh monsoon rain that brings roots to surface. This speaks to me of where my feet kiss the ground and where the balls of my feet should press in. Your sound helps me connect back to Sunday mornings in an emotional way. I dance with the knowledge of my poise flowing with your voice, allowing each note to make notes in my skin and dwell with me. Thank you for this space. So during the year that I met Netuno, he had passed me a bunch of the beats that he was working on, and I was listening to it on loop. A lot of his beats are very spacey, they're very nature inspired, especially by the ocean, and I really related to that a lot. So I started writing with more influences of space and water and the ocean. So this one is Stars on a Seabed. The skies are always perfect, even during a storm. A consistent reminder that nothing stays constant. Tossing darts in the sky, watching it ascend up high, and at its peak, we imagine that feeling when you experience zero gravity on a swing or a roller coaster, when you reach a high in full suspension, and the release. Free falling into a spiral, landing straight in the ground, its tip planted that pinpoint where dews, memories leak out and mix with the soil. Seeping in between the marbles like mermaids, weaving between nets of seaweed, tangled but not caught, weaving but not trapped. See monkeys cartwheel in suspension, recurrent in its cycle, unable to move past the swirls of the undersea. Rain is pouring like a thunderstorm under a shelter, hearing every drop splatter on the roof above your head, thunder and lightning snap, causing a silence that rings in your ear like a boom clap. Like an aftershock after a sonic wave passes. Riveting in the most unexpected way. Crescent moons do not know how to say goodbye, too young and bent. They have not seen enough brightness to know the full potential of themselves, curves hidden by the scales on their eyes. From an hour to a day in the start of the morning sun, till the end of the revolving moon, an eclipse takes over, leaving all the shadows like anglerfish. They find their way by making light where there is none. Day may look like night, wrongs surrounding us left and right. Breathe in the stars and know that we are never alone in the darkness. This next piece is called Sakura Storms. Cherry blossoms bloom, welcoming springtime, late bloomers eager to catch up, bursting their buds open as the rest have already have their petals expanded, like arms open wide, waiting to embrace the morning. Gently they kiss the mist and touch the dew. Storm clouds crouch, rolling through the tranquil turquoise sky, turning it troubling grey. Raindrops dive down, slapping every leaf and petal. Rough winds vigorously shake every branch, wrestling of every weak link. A mass massacre, ripping every petal from its core. When the storms blow over, few are left nestled at the tip of the branches. Clusters of partially mangled blooms, A blanket of wilted pale pinks lie over the roots in between the shadows. Remnants of a course passing. Some live with the damage that's left behind, holding on to the very next storm. So this set moves from hope to connections to tribulations to faith and strength. And 5 was a piece that I wrote a couple of years ago for Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's a spoken word piece that I like to perform, and it has my favorite band Linkin Park in it. 5 5 5 5 5 4 3 2 1. Do re mi fa so. So, as the saying goes, cats have 9 lives, but I would like to think that we have 5. Birth, where a new page is written and full caution handed down from the ones before us. Growth, where we learn and develop, nurture influences and build character, where our personalities show with the choices that we make, how we deal with the hands that we are dealt. Give life, be it barren, newborn, or businesses. At some point, we give life to something. We invest and we give of ourselves because it is worth giving. Death. All things must come to an end. We have 5 core emotions: joy, sadness, anger, fear, and rejection. I have 5 core memories associated with these 5 things that have shaped my journey, 5 things that have given me reason. The day my father said that he would never be proud of me, the day I discovered God knew me and found love, hope, and faith. The day I found out my grandmother was dying of cancer. The day I said no to medicine and said yes to medicating me. The day I gave my life, my days, and my gaze to poetry. 5 titles that shook the world, a meteora that made a hybrid theory iridescent. Breaking the habit from the inside is numb and heavy in the end. One more light was put out, but it will burn in our hearts for eternity. At some point in our lives, we have gone through the 5 phases of grief, denial, and disbelief that something so real can affect us and our loved ones. Anger at the injustice that life has dished out to us. Bargained and paid a price to improve our quality of life. Depression and stress are very real ghosts that haunts even the best of us. Acceptance is key. To acknowledge the existence of a problem is to start to finding a solution. Beyond these 5 rows, I am not sure if you can hear me. Like the cries of a person so silent it is an iceberg hidden beneath the sea of currents. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Thank you. To those of you who are far away, thank you for listening. For those of you here, thank you for reaching out to me. 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 months, 5 years, we count as each of these go by. Each moment, a small step. Each day, a small victory. As long as you are moving forward, it all counts. Whether you are counting down to the next round for medications or counting up to your next chemo session, whether you are counting the days that you have survived or how many years you have been fighting, it all counts. In 5 minutes, I have invited you into my life. As calm as a doe, I have recited a poem about me, my journey thus far. So let me present to you 5 boughs instead of the customary tree. To greet you as I have welcomed you into my life. To pay respect to you, the walks of life that you came from and the life stories that you carry with you. To pay homage to the warriors who have fought before me, the ones who remind me that it is okay to breathe in different dialects. To ask for forgiveness for the offense that I have given or taken, because wrong should not be left in a place of what should be right. To submit myself to you, who have humbly listened as I shared the stage with legends and gods of poetry. I chose this song, which is called The Phaser Sea, that was composed by Netuno, because it reminded me of some of the beats and tunes from Linkin Park. And the phrase, "It is okay to breathe in different dialects," I've quoted from one of my poetry heroes that I was really inspired by, that got me into writing again, and her name is Melissa Rani. This next piece is called Peace in the Midst of Turbulence. The gradient sea calmly defines the horizon as chilling bayou breeze carry salty and briny accents across the smooth pastel shoreline, where I run to chase the sea. Over my heavy laden shoulders stretched a canopy of sky embroidered with clouds. The sun did not scorch nor set the sky ablaze. It was evenly tempered with shadowed shrouds. The soles of my feet sink millimeter by millimeter into the muck of the loosely shifting sand, like ink into paper, absorb deeper and deeper. The rushing sounds of waves rhythmically crash into the shore. It populates the crevices of my mind, invades the hollow stores, resounding through my core. And the waves sway me back and forth, drawing in, stirring with energy, swirling like a whirlwind, consumed by the currents entirely, interlaced with the scarves of seawater. My thoughts submerge into these waters, and I too delve into my emotions. Freely moving as one with the ocean, I am afloat in my imagination, drenched in the motion. The moment of tranquility sweeps you over. Peace plows through the battering waves, and I am pulled further from the coast of desired treasure. The separation from circumstance, still in the midst of chaos. Bliss in the midst of uncertainty, found even when you are lost, alive and thriving at all costs. My arms open wide, embraced by the tide. My view is now panoramic, eyes wide open with no limitations in my sight. This piece was a challenge that was given to me by a good friend in the poetry scene that I got to meet. His name was Kevin Lau, and he wanted me to mix in peace and that sensation that you feel of pure tranquility in the midst of chaos. Convergence. Remarkable meets fascinating, a journey of two souls in parallel, making decisions that bend the nature of their paths, causing it to collide with the ways of another, constantly flowing forward. Rivers from the mountains drifting its way into its course, returning to its route and alternating in between logic and rationale. Sliding through intersections of intense emotions, weaving among serendipitous, frivolous memories, and falling into a natural cascade formed by thousands of years of formations, where fresh becomes salt. What was bland finds taste in life, flavors of insignificant minerals that come together to create an ocean of messianic zeal. A solution to the desires of longing and wanting, a desire that all humans seek their whole lives to find, an innate need to want genuine connection that ties all humanity together. Is that a question of fate? A subject of the laws of attraction? Is education limited within the confines of those who form ideologies that were thought to be the best method of conducting society? A discourse of dispositions and disorder? There is no absolute answer. This is only a journey of past experiences and present decisions, where the aim is to find ways to convene again, in hopes that the rivers will merge into the known sea, a vast, open, unrestricted body of movement, life, and sustenance. The infinitive cycles of generations that create, degenerate, and regenerate. Souls bound by the dimensions of this lifetime, searching, ever searching for the joys that make mortality worth living, a means to an end, to find fulfillment and satisfaction in a life so temporal. Their own definition of eternal bliss, encapsulated in the form of sincere, unconditional love. Convergence was inspired by a conversation that I had with a friend of mine on mortality and philosophy. This next piece is called Recover, Render. Where would you venture if there were no boundaries between lands, borders, and brinks? Taking more than the allocated slots and portions, rations and trickling pollutions seep into the air, tainting its purity. We retract and hold back, knowing limits unrespected. Where is the restriction that we place, the walls that need to be raised? Windows that allow us to peek out, seeing the outside beyond the waves, making the pressure ease a little bit more. Then hope arises with the currents from beneath the rocks and stones, sand shifted as the tides maneuver. Then when the coast is set, it takes a readiness for change, a new, fresh tone that allows rejuvenation. Then I could love you like turtles that return to the shores when they will life to begin. This next piece is called Gaze. I have seen the way your eyes look at the tribulations of the earth, seeing through the layers of falsified fronts that people put up, the weeping of regrets and sinking of spirits. How your eyes fight so hard from blinking, because losing that moment will cause you to lose your true connection with them forever. Once past, the planets will not realign again for aeons. Their fingers that sat so lightly in your palm impressed such a weight that is equivalent to the burdens of centuries. Those fingers you would not let go, appendages that you would tie to your wrist and fingertips with the strings of your heart. A maze of fingerprints interlocking and laced by veils of memories and time. Meteor showers could burn the atmosphere surrounding me, but I would still burn with the same passions to look into your eyes and hold your hand again, hoping you would feel the warmth of my empathy while you rummage through the galaxies and pockets of safety nets to call your home. Drifters find ways to survive in sub-zero cold, but I know you well, that you need combusting heat to set your furnace aflame to stay alive. I will always be waiting by the campfire under the stars, calling out to Orion to watch over you and Ursa to keep you safe, hoping that you would be drawn by the flames of Halley's Comet, stow away in its tail to find your way back to Earth. Until then, you will always be the twinkle in my eyes when they reflect the night sky. The next two pieces I've written for a submission to Hit Record, which is an online community for collaborators to come together and create on an international platform. These next tracks are called Samantha's Wings, and I really want to thank Netuno for passing me these beats. I've always wanted to collaborate and work with him, and I've wanted to pair music and poetry, so this is really something, a really special project to me. And thank you so much to Ui for coming on board and sharing her illustrations with us. Once in a day of a lifetime, where the world halted in its resolve, every living thing stood still, freezed frame in this breath. A streaming gust of wind that flows through the trees, whistling in its waves through the branches, rustle the abundant crisp, lush leaves, every single one creating a symphony in harmony. This breath of sound seeps through my being, beats my drums to its rhythm, fills the spirals of my cochlea. Flowing sound waves flood every crevice of my brain, sinking my heart to beat as one with it. A surfing surge of peace soaks my bloodstreams, turning any turmoil to green, not the color of envy, but tranquility. Lifting my ribcage to float in the oxygen-filled air, feet taking root in the grounds as the trees. Being, existing, living as though my soul has walked the earth since the beginning of time. Steadfast, against thunderstorms and peril, fighting through the sterility of the ages, birthing life in breath, living off the regenerating cycles of the seasons. sunlight, growing, hope and faith, rising to reach the canopies, breaking the ground to dig deeper into the soils of history, bearing fruit in the grace of existence. That piece was inspired by a prompt on Hit Record where there was a picture of this really tranquil forest, and the prompt was to write about emotion that you can feel in such peace. This next piece is Dragon Tale. It's one of my favorite pieces to perform. It is a story that was inspired by beats that were made by Netuno. Reminded me a lot of Mario. My heart has always belonged, and I've always found a sense of being at home in Sarawak, especially in the villages where I used to go for mission trips. And there are references in this poem from the animation How to Train Your Dragon. Waking up to the clouds embracing the mountain ranges. This is where my heart belongs. My fingertips touch the sparkle in the air made by the sun rays that love the mist. My shoulders rise with the lightness of the sunrise. A symphony of dragons shifting and sifting through the clouds, murmurations of stormflies creating iridescent rainbows in panoramic view. Vibrancy of rushing swirls and spins turn the sky into a kaleidoscope of colors. Brother Crimson, he sits by the porch with his bamboo cup. Tuak sneaking down his pipes as the clouds clear the pepper fields. Brother Keylime walks through the paddy fields to get to the well, to collect sky juice, to bring back to the barok. The time comes for the gathering. Furies circle the canopy of limestone caves that rise as high as the heavens. Walls of cascading toadstool waterfalls, Brother Crimson climbs to the edge of the ledge, calling out to Brother Keylime to catch the sight of a streamline of rare dragons fly. He jumps, waiting for a nosedive to form a somersault in between, landing in the waters like diving into a pool of coins. Steely, cold, and familiar. His first thought was, why did she leave? Brother Keylime jests. No treasures there, brother, not unless you dive deep enough. They both sit by the pool of fairy dust and pixie streams. He sees the eyes that dream of a day when she returns. He knows this is a tale that has no end, not unless he tames the fire within his heart and let the ashes bathe him as he did in the lagoon. Brother Crimson sighs and smiles like how the night greets the day at twilight. A smidge of conscious regret, a pinch of accepting grace, a glimmer of an undeniable possibility. They make their way back to the hills, sun setting painting the skies pink and rose, furies following them in a streamline. Stormflies not in sight as they camouflage with the dimming light of magic hour. Brother Keylime knows it is time for the dragons to find solace with the inevitable till the next sunrise. His final thoughts are that we keep our treasures close to our hearts, though they are out of our sights. I really want to thank Hui again for coming together and drawing such cool illustrations to be paired up with my poetry and these beats. Thank you so much to Netuno. You really have inspired my creative journey in these past 2 years that I've known you. These last 2 pieces are dedicated to the both of you. Amoeba Satellite. dancing stars and flying amoebas, swift in its abysmal away, sitting through the Milky Way, prancing far into time, space, and synth waves. Dreaming in Netuno's song, a voice where spaceships belong, weaving its throttle behind strong-willed hands that tap its fingers along with bobbleheads of astronauts. Discovering the minefield of debris, streamlines of interstellar realities, mixed into multiple parallel galaxies, layered in lucid dreams and possibilities. A Banksy Warhol masterpiece for everybody. This last piece is called Thunderclouds in Your Eyes. So it's originally written as a song, and a friend of mine, Julian, had composed the music to it, but I'm gonna remix it a little bit to fit this beat. I will tell you about the time I saw your eyes long before I met you for the first time. I could hear the lies your ears have heard, and I'm sorry for those words that hurt. It was years ago by the riverside where I ran away to find a place to hide. It was a steady flow, clear waters and sky. There were thunderclouds rolling in, drumming strongly as my thoughts were fighting, fueled with doubt and worry. The truth was far off, long dead and buried, and the waters turned soil, muddy and murky. I closed my eyes to find clarity, but all I saw was the storms staring fiercely. There was lightning striking, drawing lines to the earth, and in that flash of fear, that was where you were. I found the missing jigsaw piece that disappeared in time, a key locked away beneath all that dirt. I did not realize that I lost my worth. There were thunderclouds rolling in, drumming strongly as my thoughts were fighting, fueled with doubt and worry. And the truth was far off, long dead and buried, and the waters turned soiled, muddy and murky. Your eyes pierced my heart with forgiveness and grace, and they spoke clearly in a calming pace. Your voice became louder than the roaring sky, saying, "Now is the time for you to shine." No more thunderclouds rolling in, drumming strongly, as my thoughts had stopped fighting. No more doubt and worry. The truth is now found, no longer buried, and there are clear waters and skies again. Thank you again to Unrestricted Stage for hosting us throughout the whole of MCO, and a big thank you to CENDANA for funding us and making all of this possible. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and I hope that you enjoyed some of this poetry, music, and illustrations combination and collaboration. If you'd like to find out more about Unrestricted Stage, go over to their Facebook page, follow them, and check out all the live streams that everybody has been sharing throughout the whole of MCO. For more from Netuno, check out The Abstract Nature on Instagram. And if you'd like to collaborate with Ui for any illustrations on graphic design and pongs and poetry, feel free to comment in the live stream or hit us up. We'll be happy to work with you.